This week on Manor and Maker, we go a-castling, a bunch of British Canadians find Mexico in France, and we make ourselves a really nice supper. We are at the castle of Beynac, which is in a little valley, and there's 3 castles in this area, and it's spectacularly cool. This one has a really rich history. Eleanor of Aquitaine, who is one of the coolest and most influential people of the Middle Ages, was both the Queen of France and then the Queen of England. And when she became the Queen of England and her husband died, then her son, Richard I, known as Richard the Lionheart, took over. And because Eleanor was born in France and brought this huge duchy of Aquitaine, where we now live, over to her husband in England, when her son inherited, he had to seize this castle to sever the connection with the Count of Toulouse, who basically was trying to hold this in regency during the shift of power. So Richard the Lionheart actually came and took this castle and stayed here with his troops. So it's got a fascinating history that spans 900 years. So we're really looking forward to taking a bit of a tour.
This is the spectacular view from Beynac across the Dordogne River and through the valley. And you can see all the different chateaus that are scattered amongst the hillsides here. An amazing defensive position for this castle, as you can see the tower there.
This is the very important stateroom or audience room in the chateau, and you can hear the echo. But when this was, fully covered with tapestries and had lots of bodies in here and the big fire roaring at the end, what a place to have a reception and welcome your guests. Obviously, I'm a fan of tapestries generally, any sort of textile really, but I get excited when there is any sort of red left in them, because the red's usually the first thing to fade out. So whenever there's red left, you get a much better idea of what the original vibrant tapestry would have been like and the colors that would have sprung from this wall. One of the things that Eleanor of Aquitaine is credited with is the idea of indoor fireplaces. She was raised in the south of France, where it was much warmer, and when she had to move up north to be with her new husband, the about-to-be King Louis, she was really cold. And she thought, why don't we put some fires in the houses and stay warm? So thanks for that, Eleanor. We really enjoy indoor fireplaces. One of the guests at our assembly the other night noticed the direction of our spiral staircase and how it was different than what she was used to. And there's very much a lot of theories about the defense of these staircases and whether they're lent towards the right-handed or left-handed fighters. And I find it interesting that this one goes the opposite direction from ours. So what do you think? Would you be a left-handed or a right-handed fighter? Obviously, the politics of the Middle Ages are a little bit hard to untangle, shall we say. So Richard was King of England, but being Duke of Normandy and Duke of Aquitaine, thanks to his mother, were 2 completely separate entities. So he was basically ruling almost like 3 kingdoms, or 1 kingdom, I guess, and 2 duchies, but they were very much separate political entities and stayed that way for at least another generation. It's very complicated, but a phenomenal amount of land for one family to look after. And people. We decided to have a little swing over to Roque-Gageac, which is a really pretty little town, and obviously in the summer is crazy full of people. But right now it's just lovely all on its own, right on the edge of the Dordogne.
We're in Roque-Gageac now, and you see these tiny little roads that lead up the mountainside here, up the cliffside. It's an extraordinary place though, all built into the cliff. You can see the cliff above us and these little paths, but there's tropical plants everywhere, bamboo, and even some cactus around. Streets wind their way up. It's a really steep little cliff. Spectacular views though. So I've just climbed up a little bit up the hillside in Roque-Gageac, and you just get an amazing view of the Dordogne River over to the spectacular Chateau de Gageac, Roque-Gageac, and all under the fantastic cliff edge that is above us, with a beautiful Perigordian stone, which is the same stone that our chateau is made out of.
We're in the market in Sarlat, and we just thought this was a particularly adorable little store. And this is a local artist from Sarlat who does these ceramics. And we're just so taken with them and love these little ducks hanging over the edge. If anybody's looking for really cute, nice little souvenir in the Sarlat area, I can't recommend these guys enough.
Medieval beer, the mead. So this is our turkey. I know it doesn't look very appetizing right now, but I have been brining it for 24 hours in a mixture of brown sugar, salt, some herbs de Provence, and a couple of other little things and bay leaves. And this just helps infuse all the moisture into the meat, so when you cook it, it stays nice and moist. So we'll open it up and get it prepared for the oven. So here's the turkey out from the brine. We're using the Le Creuset that we have. We don't have a roasting pan yet, so this will work just perfectly well. Love my Le Creuset. You can do all sorts of wonderful cooking with it. So now I'm just going to cover it in oil and a bit of herb and salt, and then we will get it into the oven. All salted and oiled, and we've got a bit of foil over the top just to keep it protected for the first little bit, and we'll get it into the oven. All right, time to have a look, see how the turkey's doing. Oh, it's starting to come nice. It smells delicious. So a couple more hours of roasting and we should be good to go. I've also decided to do a maple glaze for the ham. And it's not like a traditional ham that we seem to get in North America. This is more of a pork roast, but should still work out the same. At least we'll have the same sort of flavor. Basically, I've added some brown sugar, maple syrup, and Dijon mustard. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of cinnamon to it and mix it all together. Then I will score the meat and put a glaze on top of it as it cooks. I have scored the top so that we can cut through the rind and into the meat so that the glaze will get in. And now all I'm doing is just scooping some glaze up and give it a nice good coating. I'll use probably about half the glaze before it goes in the oven, and then halfway through in the oven we can keep basting it so that it gets nice and shiny and that glaze cooks in. All right, we'll show you the results in a bit. Peeled the potatoes and have them soaking for a little bit to get rid of the starch. Now I'm just going to boil a pot of water with a bit of salt, and we'll parboil the potatoes before roasting. One thing that I am doing new this year that I've never done before is I'm actually cooking the potatoes or roasting the potatoes in duck fat. So in the grocery store everywhere in France, you can get these lovely confit de canard cans. Confit de canard is basically a candied duck. And what they do is they put the duck fat, they seal it in duck fat and then seal the can so that it's shelf stable. And the meat is all fully cooked, so it really just needs to be reheated. But the advantage is you also get the duck fat. So I'm going to scrape some of this off and use that for the potatoes, which is supposed to make absolutely amazingly crispy potatoes. Wish me luck. We have put the duck fat onto the pan and into the oven, let it melt, and then we will add the potatoes. I have let the duck fat melt, transferred the potatoes. Now I'm just rolling them around in the fat before returning them to the oven. I feel like they should be sizzling more. For the duck fat, I don't think our oven, and you can see it's a rather small oven, I don't think it can get up hot enough for us to be able to do the potatoes correctly, at least not in the time period that we have. So I just decided to toss them in the pan and we will finish them up there by frying them a little bit. Hopefully that'll work out just as well. Here is the result of the pork. Got a lovely maple glaze on it, and looks like it turned out just perfect. Okay guys, here's the finished product. It's looking absolutely delicious. Time to carve it up.
I can't decide which of my lovely vases to use on the supper table tonight. I want to use some of this plant that some neighbors brought over as part of our celebrations the other night. And it's really pretty, and it's got these lovely little red berries on it. And I can't decide. It's probably quite high for a centerpiece, so it might eventually come off, but as part of the original setting, I don't know whether to use the vibrant green or to use the clear and gold. It is a conundrum. Well, I have decided, since we're only having we're not having appetizers or anything like that, we're having a one plate meal, I'm gonna go with my grandmother's silver, because we don't have a plate that's smaller than it to do a nice layering. So I'm just going to use the faux chargers. Chargers were originally meant to actually keep your supper plate warm, or at least preheat your supper plate. So I guess I should go take some plates in to actually get them warm. Decided to put the vases that basically I really wanted to use but were too high for the center of the table. I've decided to throw all design principles aside and put the height on the outside, because that's what I want to do tonight. Most guides I've read about setting tables say it's all about your guest comfort, so you want to minimize collisions as much as possible. So from here, they can reach either for their water glass, which in this case is some lovely crystal that was gifted to us by Jan and Phil, or for their wine glass. So either way, you're not likely to trip over one or the other, reaching for one or the other. And that's really what etiquette should be about, is just making things the most comfortable for your guests. And I think gatekeeping is very old-fashioned, so I think whatever makes you and your guests comfortable and have a good time, that's really important. So, Merry Christmas. Houston, we have a problem. I am that close to corking this lovely bottle of wine, and it also looks like maybe the cork isn't in the best condition. So we'll see. We'll see if I can use the corkscrew to get it out. Otherwise, sometimes you can just screw a nail in and use a fork as a lever. Not that that's ideal, but hopefully this works. The cork's looking odd. I'm not a sommelier, but I do know Bordeaux needs some time to breathe. So we'll see how this tastes after a few minutes, but hopefully that's all right. Yeah, the verdict is that we have a non-viable bottle of wine, so opening option number 2. We got the cork out in one piece, so that's an improvement. It's been aging a while, that's for sure. I'm not sure we've ever mentioned the secret serving board and secret cupboard. I mean, not that it's that secret. I'm going to guess you guys can figure out where it is. However, what happens is this little bit of wainscoting actually folds down to provide a little serving table, which is hilarious. Apparently I need to clean up last night's wine. And then over here, we have what is quickly becoming our cabinet of wine, which is fantastic. Very easy to serve from.